Today, the day we're shooting this is February 16th, 2018, and this is Chatman Booth. I'm Jabari, the host of Chatman. This is Chatman Booth saying, listen to live radio. Um, Perhaps I'm just suggesting it, but I had this friend that was a little bit older than me, the part of the team that convinced me to move out to Northern California, which is what brought me here. And you know how when you're in your late teens and your early 20s and you're spending time with uh, people that are beginning to consider you your peers, but they're a little bit ahead of the curve from you. They're a little bit older than you. They're accomplishing a little bit more with their lives, artistically or professionally, or you're just enamored with them for some reason. When I was in my early 20s, I had a friend named Cato in the Black Hills of California, Black Hills of South Dakota, and then in California. And one of the things that I admired about him that he would do a lot of the time that we were hanging out together is he would have a little radio on, a little transistor radio on in the background, and he'd be playing public radio, jazz hours on public radio while we were chatting, while he was in the kitchen cooking crawfish or whatever it is he was making. You'd have those sounds in the background, and I connect. I don't know that the current generation gets to connect to live radio as much. Sure, streaming music, but the idea of setting your will aside and handing it over to the DJ on the radio station at the tower, however far away, to set the tone. That's great. I think that in today's society, we make a lot of the decisions about what's directly and immediately in front of us most of the time because we have these amazing little computers that we hold in our hands, our smartphones. So I've noticed that when I'm the only person in charge of what I'm listening to, that's a narrower road, and that's a narrower field of dictates, if you will. My experience is wider when I don't control the whole thing. That's the concept that I was thinking of when I decided to talk about, hey, turn on that live radio, man, 90.5 WBUR, get the Emerson station on. Is it the Emerson station? Get the Emerson station on. And let those guys make decisions and see how that affects what you're going through. Because listening to music other people choose for you can often get you out of your own head. And I think that as a small, you know that I talk a lot about this being a free will universe, and one of the few rules of this universe is you get to make your own decisions. And I like the idea of making the decision to get out of my own head from time to time, and I can demonstrate that to the universe by doing something as simple as listening to live radio. Plus, it's pretty cool. Now, speaking of the radio, our station is connected intimately with Boston Free Radio. So give it a look up. Give it a listen, bostonfreeradio.com. My handle, which you'll be seeing appear on the screen below me, possibly to the right side of my ear, possibly to the left. I don't know. I don't have intimate dealings with the leprechauns who make these decisions. But they'll be putting my Twitter handle on the screen, and that is, of course, at Chatman Booth on Twitter. So give me a follow there, please. Okay, so a couple of the younger ladies that I mentor, uh, I in the past have very regularly sent them messages, voice messages, not voicemails, but over the actual messenger app. I'll record my voice, and I'll send these mostly young ladies summaries of what's going on around us. Now, take whatever room you're in, for instance. Whatever's going on in that room that you're in right now, even if it's on the far side of the room, whatever's going on, there's something going on the far side of your house right now that is affecting you. When you're in a restaurant, something that's happening in the kitchen is affecting you. Something that's happening on the other side of the restaurant when people are being seating. It's all connected. Now, that's a sort of lame way to analogize and begin to make you understand how appropriate I believe it is to to get deeper into the understanding that the very heavenly bodies around us also affect what's going on here. So let's take the moon, for instance, which controls the tides of the very ocean. We live near the sea. That's very nice to be able to spend time near the sea. And it's very nice to, over time, if you live next to the water, which I did not until I was an adult, it was great to watch what the moon did to the tides. Bigger moon, bigger water. Less moon, less water. The moon controls the tides. The moon also controls the water in us, but from a more esoteric or astrological or archetypal viewpoint, whichever one of those you choose, should you choose not to look at this as bull beep. Hate being my own censor. That's not it. It's not easy. The water in us, the moon affects our emotional state and the water within our own bodies. Well, it's not just the moon that has an effect on what we're experiencing on life right now. It's all the planets spinning around in this little solar system. So I was thinking about something that I used to do more regularly for a few of the young, and by young I mean early 20s ladies that I mentor, which is I will record for them little snippets of what's going on, what I researched to be going on astrologically at that time for the next week, or things that are important over the course of the next few weeks. They found it very helpful. I found it very helpful, and so I will be talking about some of the archetypes up in the stars that people who discuss such things discuss. So from the period of late January into right about now, I said today's the 16th. This first event that I'm going to describe is actually ending tomorrow. It'll be ending before you see this, but it's still important. In fact, I often say, if you want to know whether this stuff works, live your life and go back and review the data that was presented to you and see if it hit the mark or not. I don't believe in believing in anything that doesn't prove itself to be true. So there you have it. Late January, Mars, we'll talk about Mars a little bit more, moved into an adventurous Sagittarius. So from that period of late January through the end of March, you have an eager Mars or Aries sort of first sign of the zodiac energy that meets up with the excitingly impulsive Sagittarius and will make for a higher level of adventure in your lives. Here's my point. Wrapping up around February 17th, this is what I was referring to. Mars was in Aquarius until today or tomorrow. Mercury in Aquarius. Let's talk about Mercury, because Mercury retrograde is the astrological event that most people that pay absolutely no attention to astrology whatsoever will be wary of and will adhere to. Not signing serious contracts during a period of Mercury retrograde. So if you consider Mercury in the past to be the god of communication, today would be the internet and TV and your phone. Busy dude / dudette Mercury, and has to go on vacation from time to time. So when you see that there's a Mercury retrograde, you want to focus on doing things where possible that start with the word RE: relax, redecorate, redo, rethink. That's when it comes to a retrograde, but that's not what I'm talking about here. What I'm talking about, that's just ending, so you can review this in the rearview mirror and see if it was applicable to you. Wrapping up around February 17th, Mercury spent some time in Aquarius. So again, Mercury being the computer, the phone, the internet. Mercury is what feeds you information throughout all 5 of your senses and your brain, and that's something that I'll be a lesson that I'll be reminding myself and you of throughout the year. But now we have a guest. We have a guest on the show today. We're filming out of Union Square in Somerville, and I thought that my guest's name was Stephen Finman or Fineman for the years that I've known him, which is not true. And so acquaintances and then friends for years, and Steve Feynman is actually your name.
Yes, it is.
Welcome to Chatman booth.
How you doing?
I'm doing great, and it's very good to see you. We haven't caught up in a very long time.
No, we have not.
it's nice to be catching up like this, just out on Front Street for everyone to see.
Mm-hmm.
So, a little bit about our history before we go into a little bit about your history.
Absolutely.
I've said it before. I'll say it again. I, as a kid, as a little kid, watched a lot of Cheers, of the show Cheers, and so a lot of my subconscious understanding of Boston was that you go down into a basement and you meet the people you're going to love the most, and you figure out life. You're going to go down to the basement. Everybody's going to put down some suds, and we'll figure it out. Which is how I met you. In the basement of Uno's, on JFK, which is now closed.
Yeah.
That place was Cheers.
Yes, very much so.
And every bit is entertaining, and the cast of characters revolve through there, and that's how we met. What do you remember of our?
Are you asking me what I do or don't remember? Because I remember all of it, to tell you the truth.
Well, let's hear some of the memories. How did we become friends? Your way of thinking.
Because I am somebody who, when I put myself in a public place and I'm on my own, I enjoy getting to know others. It's a part of who I am. It's a part of who I've always been. That being said, I'm pretty sure the way we met was me jumping in on a conversation and you saying, "Who is this guy? What is he doing? And why is he talking to me?" But it didn't end up that way. And I suppose because it was genuine conversation versus just, the usual fluff you'll hear at a bar, kind of like reading a dating profile. There was more of an intimate nature to it, which allows human beings to connect as they are. What do I remember of the conversations? Well, I'll put it like this. Being someone who's rather social, and I have met many, a friend or just passerby in a public place, what I found unique about even that first conversation was how in-depth and how open of an individual you were, willing to talk about just anything, in person, in life. And not everyone can do that. I mean, and the other thing that fostered that culture at Uno's was the fact that the bartenders were equally as jovial.
Yeah, boy, to name a few, Manny, the other Manny, Small Paul, Tall Paul, Crystal, Shanna.
Depends on the day, right?
Chad. Thank you for saying that, and that's definitely, like, just doing that and doing this in the street has been a focus of mine, and I would do it in the street just like we're doing right now, only without the cameras. Now the cameras are here because why not? So, where do you hail from?
Well, originally or these days?
Originally and these days.
Alright, so originally I'm from a small town that's actually much closer to Worcester, so here in Massachusetts, called Westboro.
Mm-hmm.
It is in Metro West, and it is your typical white bread suburbanite community.
Is that where the Baptist church is from?
Well, not quite. I'd say it's a little more upscale, but we don't have to get into that part. But it's located along Interstate 495, which is known in Massachusetts as the Technology Belt. So companies like EMC, Data General, and for a while AstraZeneca was even there. That's pharmaceutical, I might add.
I always hear the name of the lady saying the voice on the AstraZeneca commercials when I hear the name AstraZeneca.
I'm sorry to bring up that terrible memory.
So these companies kind of base themselves around the
it was known as a technology belt, but an innovation center to a certain degree. Bless you.
Thank you.
And I called that home. And so, like I said, it was kind of middle class, upper middle class, white bread, white picket fence, come home to your family.
What's high school like? What was high school like out there?
Well, I'll tell you what. I was someone who was heavily involved in the arts, and I was somebody who had quite an interesting music teacher, a choral director of mine who, to this day, I actually still keep up with. Um,
Do you remember their name?
David Seaman. Yes, exactly. We're having fun with names today. And he himself went to Berkeley in Boston, which is predominantly a musical school, in the 60s.
Wow.
And he had been teaching in Westboro for years and years and years. And something that was always great about him was how accessible to his students and how current in life he was, and that he lived in the moment, not yesterday or today or tomorrow, this, that, or the other thing. This guy was teaching us how to sing Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd and, playing up Crosby, Stills, and Nash and all that good stuff. How to enjoy life, not necessarily how to just learn music and present it at a concert, which I thought gave me as an individual more accessibility to life as it was, more being there in the moment, understanding that what you're doing is very unique versus doing something that is prescribed.
I like that this teacher gets a call back, and the relevance and importance of teachers cannot be overstated by me. When you went on to college, what were you interested in studying? What did you study? What became of what you thought you would be doing compared to what you ended up doing?
I was interested in the path of least resistance. I wanted to do my own thing. And I'll tell you what, in a couple different ways, not only did I get to do that, but I learned what it meant to do that. For me, it was just, I need to get back in the swing of things.
What did your focus end up being in school? Did you
Having fun.
did you graduate college?
Yes, I graduated high school, college, and graduate school.
What?
And to tell you the truth, being able to give to others in order to kind of help them negate some of the experiences I had, let alone other things I witnessed in this world, that's gratifying. That's called the progression of society.
It's called the progression of society. I like to call it the United Federation of Planets, but I'm just that's me skipping ahead a little bit. Okay, so we're gonna take a little bit of a break, and then when we come back, we're gonna dig deeper than people normally dig on TV.
Sounds great.
All right, woo. Chatman booth. Me and Steve Feynman will be back in just one moment. You're watching Chatman booth, and we are at Do, about to have a very special interview with instructor Ian. The Do school is at 352 Washington Street, Union Square, Somerville.
How's it going? Good to see you.
You're watching Chatman booth. I'm the Chatman, Jabari Morgan. We're in Union Square. I reiterate, union is my favorite word in the English language. And we're in the Do New England school. And in this location, they teach 8 complete traditional martial arts. And we're lucky enough to be sitting down for the first time with instructor Ian.
Pleasure to meet you. Oh, see
Okay,
you.
pleasure
See
to
you.
see you again.
Yeah.
We
always.
we know each other.
Yeah.
We work together.
Yes.
Okay, so I have nothing but questions because I've never been to the school before.
Yeah.
And it's only been a few weeks that I've known that you were an instructor. So
Yes.
so may I ask, when was the first time you received or decided to receive martial arts training yourself?
That's a good question. I decided about 5 years ago that, 6 years ago, that I wanted to be a counselor of psychology. And I was not a strong enough person to be able to sit with people, talk with people, help them work through their problems.
Yeah.
And I decided that I needed to improve that, you know what I'm saying? So I thought about what's going to be the best way to improve myself mentally and physically to be able to help people. I was like, oh, well, I've always loved martial arts, might as well just try that. And then I just started training, and I was like, oh, I guess I'm just going to continue doing this. Because it but as much as it helped me, I wanted to help people that in the same way.
So, I'm surprised to hear from 6 years to receiving first lesson and somewhere in there becoming an instructor. You took to this.
Very, very much. Like immediately. Immediately.
So, what are some of the ways in which this practice has improved your life that you perhaps didn't expect? Or another way to ask that question would be in high-low form. Like, what are some of the highlights of what this experience has done for your life internally or externally? For you personally.
For me personally, I don't have asthma anymore. That's for one. I was hospitalized multiple times as a child for asthma. Nebulizer and inhaler all the time, and I haven't had to use that.
So this long-term trained focus of your body has helped your relationship with your lungs.
Right, and that's when you said internally and externally. That's the point. Like Umyungdo is very different because, like, while a lot of other common martial arts they focus a lot on external development, like Muay Thai, they just kick banana trees over and they really condition the shins, and that's really good for all the kicks that they do. Taekwondo, they really condition the hips and everything like that, lower back to get proper extension and release in their kicks. But not many martial arts focus on internally and externally. Like Tai Chi is internal and has some external benefits too. But if you have all of those things together, then you get that fully balanced, harmonized human condition that is really, really hard to get. And especially with the depth of knowledge that the Umyungdo line has, I haven't seen anything like it as in all the research that I've done.
It seems a little esoteric. It seems a little prevalent. Why haven't I heard of Umyungdo before?
Because it's been laying low for a little while. It's been around. It's had many different names. It's gone through many different challenges throughout its time in the U.S. But Grandmaster Iron Kim came over from Korea in the 70s. He started schools, and they grew, and they fell, and now we're in the regrowth stage. Kind of like the seeds were planted, and then now they're really flourishing into something that is more balanced, more proper for this particular society and this particular age.
So, to just take it right where it needs to be, which is in layman's terms, for myself and for the viewing audience, there's a certain place all of our brains go when we hear martial arts or when we hear of different modalities inside of martial arts. Can you tell me more about what a student at this school would be expecting, and you can compare that to what might already be in their heads.
Yes.
But I've walked by this place hundreds of times, and I've been very curious about what goes on in here.
Yes.
And you can tell from the outside that it's somehow different. That you're not looking at your typical martial arts school. Your typical
correct.
dojo.
Yeah.
So please tell me if I wanted to come into these walls as a student, what would be happening? What would be happening?
Right. Well, first we set up 3 private lesson times. So you start off right off the bat, one-on-one with the instructor, learning the very basics of things. You start to learn how to practice on your own. You learn kind of basic condition building exercises. We have a standard warm-up that we do pretty much every night to increase the body's flexibility and strength and endurance. So we go through that a couple times so they're comfortable, so they can just jump into the group class. And you learn a basic kung fu form that I'm sure I can show you at some point. And it's got all the fundamentals in there. And the student just practices a few basic things and really just absorbs them.
Okay, Chatman booth, welcome. What's your name, sir?
Will Hanna.
Will Hanna. Okay, Mr. Hanna, we were observing you with this tool earlier. Can you tell us about it?
Yes, so this is a Chinese broadsword. It's a little bit wider and a little bit heavier. The purpose of the rings on it was to add weight so that you could cut through other people's swords originally. A lot of rebels would use it because the government would have just single standard swords that they make from factories. If you add a little bit of weight towards it, you'd be able to cut through those swords. And then over time, people realized that you get the same mental benefit from practicing with broadsword, which is a lot of mental sharpness and clarity and a lot of peace. But then at the same time, you're also developing the entire body as one. Because if the sword moves the opposite way that the body's moving, you'll injure yourself. So you learn to move the body very fluidly and all together as one, which really affects your self-defense later. So as you practice your self-defense, if your whole body moves as one, you're incredibly powerful. And then I was just touching base on a little bit of Chinese history. General Guan Yu, they say his sword was about, well, it was actually a staff with a sword on top of it. It's about 90 pounds.
That's one of the main things about the school as well, is that we don't let students get away with anything in terms of like correct position or behavior or anything like that. Like the first thing a student does when they walk into the school is they check in with the flags. They check in with the instructor in the office. And what that's doing is it's like, okay, I'm in the school now, everything else outside that door stays out that door. And I'm in here to put my full mind and body into improving my mind and body, into being fully present in whatever it is that's going to happen, everything like that. So the more you put your mind in, a student is going to get that back tenfold. So that's the first thing to do, and then learning the fundamentals and just really kind of, again, absorbing those fundamentals, absorbing being like, it starts to become part of their condition, part of the way they operate, part of the way they think. And having that kind of, that manner about you starting to like build, then everybody else notices. I mean, you must notice something different about the way that I act in the restaurant, but also here.
That's true. Having said that, I've also noticed in general how deep your roots go, like into the earth. You seem incredibly grounded, including during chaotic situations.
Yes.
And I've learned that observing you.
Yes.
And certainly, it sounds like a lot of that is attributed to what's going on
Yes.
in here. So I find it. I'll tell you, I was teaching school in Northern California when the Beijing Olympics happened,
Yes.
and some of the faculty, we got together and we discussed what we were going to say when we showed the high school student body
Yes.
the opening ceremony.
Yes.
Now, I'm a big fan of East meets West, North meets South. I think
Yes.
we have to draw from all areas in order to become one.
Yes.
And one thing that I wanted to impress upon my students is the scope of seeing that many thousands of people doing the exact same
Yes.
thing at the exact same time. Like it's more than just spectacle. It's also accomplishing something.
Yes.
And so, as someone who does a lot of qigong, I see that what I'm doing during that practice with my body prepares my mind and my spirit for what I'm going to be doing outside of the time
Yes.
that I'm practicing.
Yes. Absolutely.
So it's getting busy in here.
Yes.
They've opened up the doors for us. We're going to get to see a little bit of what's going on. Again, we're at Myeongdo, New England, which is right here in Union Square, 352 Washington Street. What else would you care to?
Share.
Yeah, share. What else would you care to share?
Some of the main way that we look about sharing practice is watching it and experiencing it. So if you like, I can take you through just a little bit of something and show you something.
Great. Chatman booth. We will be right back.